Welcome to Hustle and Healing, the Real Talk podcast on pregnancy, postpartum, and motherhood. I'm your host, Jessica Lauser, here for the raw stories, honest laughs, and everything in between. Let's dive in.
All right. What's up, Gunny Dude? All right. So, Katie, hi. Thank you for coming. Sure. So, on this week for Hustle and Healing, we have Katie Dininny, mother of 5 kids, 4 beautiful girls, 1 little boy.
Yes.
Let's run through those ages.
Sure. All right, so 5. So we have 4 girls in the beginning. Abigail is 17. She's going to graduate this month. Kerrigan is 16. So she's 2 years from graduation. Samara is her proper name.
Okay.
She is 12. Seneca is 10. And Kenan is 7. Kenan, our boy, our long-awaited boy, family of, my husband comes from a family of boys typically, so they adopted, and then they had twin girls later.
Oh, wow.
So we thought all this time we would just have a family of boys, and so I was prepared for boys. So then it was a girl, and then it was a girl, and then it was another girl, and then it was another girl, and then by that time you're like, well, we're already 4 in, like, let's just try for a boy. So we did, and our doctors were surprised, to say the least. Yeah. It was hilarious on the day of our ultrasound. They were like, it's a boy. And my husband was like, I knew it. And I was like, I don't believe you.
He probably was thinking that every time.
Yeah.
If it's a boy, I knew it.
I know. And even in the hospital, I was like, okay, it's a boy, right? Sure. Whatever. Mm-hmm. We're in a lot of trouble if it's not a boy, because I gave away all the girl stuff.
Because what's that age gap between the 4th and the 5th?
Yeah, so 10 and 7, so 3 years. But at 4 girls, and I'm nearing that mid-30s age range, you're not holding on to stuff anymore like you did preparing for kids. Like, oh well, what if we have another one?
Yeah.
The what if was, these kids have worn this outfit 4 times. So it's time to recycle it. It must be a boy.
Yeah. And so how old were you when you had your last?
Kenan was born when I was 37.
Okay.
So 5 kids and 37. My doctor started asking questions towards the end of the pregnancy, like, so are we done? Are we going to have more kids? What's your plan? Mm-hmm. And I felt like I didn't want to have any more kids, obviously. I mean, people go on to have 6 and 7 children and more, and that's totally fine. 5 was good for me. Mm-hmm. I remember at one point when we had 3, I was working full time then also, and I was, buried in laundry one weekend, just emotional breakdown at 3 kids. And I told my husband, I was like, I don't want to have any more kids. And I was content. Mm-hmm. I was happy with that. And he was not, because we always talked about like a really big family.
Yeah.
And I think maybe that's one of the longest fights we've ever had. It lasted 2 days. So like, we don't go to bed mad, that kind of situation. So to not fight, but like just be at odds, not talk about the issues, not, I really was holding on to that because I was just feeling alone and stressed and, mountains of laundry, like I said, but like, it's not just that, it's dishes, and they were little, 7, 6, 3, I'm exhausted.
And now are they in daycare?
So we have, all 5 of them are at the same school. Now it'll just be,
like at that time, as you're, right, because you're working full time.
Yeah, 7 and 6 in school, daycare, well, so it was an in-home, daycare, and it was just her. Mm-hmm. So with a family friend, and that was the best scenario. In fact, shout out to our family babysitter, Christy, and her husband Bill, who works from home. They were the family, like this second set of parents that our kids were really, really privileged to just be around. A good, safe home. Never worried about like I didn't pack enough snacks for the day, that kind of thing. Pick up, drop off. When kids were in preschool on half day, she was right there picking them up while we could do our full-time jobs.
That's so cool.
My husband's in ministry, so he wasn't always at the building, at church building, youth ministry, and then senior pastor ministry. So they were just there. They were like our brother and sister, basically.
Yeah, that village.
Yeah, you need that. And I always hear that, and I say it now too, but when you experience it, and all of our kids got to be with this family. Their kids were a little older than ours, so they were in school. And of course, going to the plays for their kids, and so our kids would get to go along and see that.
So fun.
So that's just that whole family aspect was never really lost on us. Now, we would have liked to see more things, but we knew they were supported. Getting picked up from preschool, or
those are big.
It's huge. It's huge. And you know, you have an early morning, and we're like, "Hey, can we drop off early?" Sure, no problem. I'm still in my jammies, but no worries. And that, you know, that doesn't bother us. They grew up around dogs at our house, dogs at their house. Just they raised them like we would have, and we didn't have to ask many questions. Like,
Yeah.
Just, and it's been a privilege to kind of filter the kids through. Abby was 18 months when we started with this babysitter, and we knew them from church, so we were acquainted anyway. And then every kid thereafter would go. And so, you know, you get pregnant and you start to tell the people, right? And so you go and you tell the babysitter, who's now not just the babysitter, they're part of your family.
Right.
So we're pregnant again. Is there room in your life to watch another baby? And, you know, you get to 5, and she only ever had 2 of them at the same time for a very short time because, you know, the age gaps would just send them to school. And when we told them it was a boy, they were like, "Yeah, right."
They're like, "We only have girls."
Yeah, and they only had girls too. So like, this was going to be like the first boy for everybody.
Wow.
But that was such a huge blessing. And you know, then he gets sent to school. So then I cry because it's the last day of pre-K or kindergarten or whatever it is you choose to send them. And she cried too. She was like, "Now I don't have any children to take care of in my house."
Yeah, like an empty nester.
Yeah.
So going back to kind of going from that transition from 3 to the next. So what broke, or what, I guess, came to the agreement?
So there was no agreement. There was just a, we're pregnant again.
So were you in shock? I mean, like,
was.
right, we all know how it happened.
Right.
But, like, were you somewhat prepared that, like, okay, this is a possibility, even though I'm still unsure?
Yeah, I think I kind of knew, like, when. And so, like, you start to put the puzzle together. You start to put the pieces of the puzzle together. And it was a Sunday night. And I think I just wasn't feeling normal. I just felt a little off. And not sick or anything. I never really had sick pregnancies. In the beginning, I had, but the very first one, I needed Sprite and crackers before I could even lift my head off the pillow. But only for like 3 weeks. And I never got sick. And I know I was very fortunate in that. I'm just not one of those.
I didn't get sick either.
Yeah. It was such a huge blessing for me to not be one of those pregnant people. I felt amazing every time I was pregnant. Now, with the 4th, she was born in July, and it was so hot. And I was older, and I could feel that.
Yeah.
Like,
Swollen.
Yes. Everything. Oh, my goodness. And post, having her, too, the swelling in my ankles. I remember my mom came to town, and she was like, "Let's put cabbage on your ankles." And I was like, "Mom, no, this is weird." And so, but looking back and knowing like the healing properties of vegetables in general, because we could go into all that.
Yeah.
But I'm like, she was right. And you know, you call your mom and you tell her she's right all the time, like just because you realize like, oh, that thing 6 years ago when you said that, oh, I get it now.
It's full circle.
Yeah, full circle.
And I don't feel bad about it either. I'm like,
No.
okay, I know that there was moments where I was a little shit. So I will let you know you're right.
Yep.
This makes sense now.
We knew this would happen. You knew this was going to happen to me with this kid in this instance at this age. And now you're laughing, and I get it. I understand why.
Or how many times I was like, you don't understand. You'll never understand, like, as a kid.
Right.
I'm like, I'm waiting for the day that Trip or Josie are like, Mom, you don't understand. I'm like, I track you.
Yeah. Yeah. Although I invented that thing you're doing.
Yeah. Don't worry. Oh, sneaking out, that is a thing of the past.
Yeah.
I have a Ring camera.
Yeah.
I have locks on my window. I mean, I'm sure they'll think of other things,
Right.
right? They're like, take out the microchip that's wherever and put in the stuffy. But it is crazy how we say those things when we're younger.
Right.
And then we feel them now, and it's like, whoa. Okay.
Yeah. But I think that, like, just finding out we were pregnant with 4, I was calm, but it was a Sunday night. We were kind of settling down. Aaron had taken some of our kids to a birthday party, and one of the kids was just not feeling great. So I stayed home. And I was feeling not right. And I kind of thought about it for a couple of days, and it kind of came to a head that Sunday night. And he came home from the birthday party, and he said, hey, my dad just called. My grandma passed away. She'd been sick. And so it was expected, but still sad. So we're, talking. Now the phone's rang a couple times. He's talking on and off the phone, and I'm not feeling good. And I'm like, this is weird. So I take a pregnancy test. He's on the phone. He's in the house, and that was always our deal too. Like we always decided like we would be the first ones to know. No one else was going to know before we would know together. And so I never even thought to take a pregnancy test when he was not in the house, like under the roof. Mm-hmm. Because if it happened, I've got to sit on that by myself. I can't do that. I'm not strong enough for that.
Yeah.
So
that's a big thing to like muster.
Yeah.
Like for the people who like order, sure, wait for it to get delivered. I'm like, how do you do this?
Yeah.
How do you like cook dinner and go to sleep with your partner and like you're pregnant?
You can't. You don't tell them. Like I can't do it.
I can't
do it.
No.
So I take it. I mean, it instantly says you're pregnant. And I buy the, like, pregnant, not pregnant, because I'm like, I'm not reading lines. Just give it to me straight. So I'm like, okay, all right, there it is. And they've always been right. So it was not a shock to me. And I didn't second guess it. I didn't go get another one and be like, are you sure?
Yeah.
No, I'm pretty sure. Yeah. Yeah. And always buy them in bulk. Just buy 5. Like, just drop the $40 and whatever it is. Just buy them all. So I put it on top of the, put the toilet seat down, put it on top of the toilet seat, leave it there. Cause I'm like, I'm going to send him in the bathroom. He's on the phone right now. I'm not going to bother him. So he's talking to his dad, plans, how we're going to travel, get home, the kids, the dogs, all the things. Right. And when, the funeral's going to be and all these things. So I have to walk past him. Even walking past him, I'm like reliving it in my mind. Go in the closet and he gets off the phone and he's like, so and he starts chatting through the details or whatever. And I was like, okay. I said, hey, can you go grab me a tissue? Like, just toilet paper. So I knew he would go and get to the toilet paper. Uh-huh. And so the test is on the toilet, so he's not going to miss it. And I come out because I had anticipation of him coming back out. And he comes out and he was like, so we're doing this again? And I was like, seems so. So that was the number 4 story. And number 5, like, you had the conversation, like, we're already 4 in. Like, what's the big deal? Mm-hmm. So we did try for the boy, and I'm like, what's the worst that can happen? You have clothes. And then when like, you find out it was a boy, and I was like, oh, he needs to be born before I'm, like, really like, this is a boy. But in my mind, in my heart, I knew. So I was getting rid of things. Mm-hmm. But yeah, so pink. He didn't have any pink in his room when he was born. That was the one. Yeah. He's not going to have pink. There's going to be no accents of pink. We're done with pink. Right. I saw my husband do this flip. Like, he loves his girls dearly, but everything was going to be the way his boy, that he wanted it to be for his boy. And so this has been a really, really cool journey to just really watch my husband lean into, like, the gift that was always going to be given to us. Mm-hmm. And they all are, but they dote on him. The girls dote on him so much too, and it's really special.
Did you at any point have any gender disappointment?
I think when we found out that number 4 was a girl, again, it was like, okay, this, and it's not all for naught, like, they were all healthy. Right. There were no issues. I had no pregnancy related issues. you know, that being hot in the summer with her was really tough on my physical body, but my mental, I was fine. Everything was fine, and that's more than I can ask for. But I did have, you know, I just wanted him to have a boy. Really was all it was. It wasn't that I was disappointed in another baby or, you know, anything. But on that day when we were coming home from finding out it was a girl, we decided that, and we had tossed around names a little bit, but my when Erin's grandmother passed away, when we found out we were pregnant with her, we we found out also that his grandmother was a descendant of a Native American Indian tribe. Mm-hmm. So all this history started to come out in the family. And back then it was something that you really didn't want to talk about. I think it was a different situation in the 20s and 30s when you would mix races. Mm-hmm. And I think there was different kind of tension that we can't understand because it was so long ago. But as this history would come out into our family, it was really exciting for us. So Erin had tons of questions, and of course, you know, then you want to dive into everything, and his aunt and his dad wanted to answer all these questions for the kids. So fun, you know. Yeah, I know, it was really, really cool. So it was Seneca Indian tribe. I'm probably saying it wrong. Uh-huh. So we named her Seneca. Oh, neat. And then it was Janet Joyce was her middle name, so it's Seneca Joyce. So we kind of just continued the whole, like, she passed away on that day. We found out this next gift would be, and we just, so the gender disappointment really was quickly faded because of the turnaround of just that history that we get to
be able to incorporate.
Yeah. Now she loves it, and she loves history, and she loves to hear about where she came from, even though she never got to meet Grandma, who was the most loving Christian woman I've ever met to this day. You know, when we started dating in high school, she was the first one to bring me into the fold. You know, moms are always weird about that stuff. So, and I get that now. Yeah, being a mom. But she gave me my first Christmas present that family would give me. You know, and then it was a candle, and it was cinnamon, and it had the potpourri top on it. Everybody knows what that was from like back in the day. And I did not burn that candle until I saved it. I had like a hope chest, but it was drawers. My mom made this mini dresser for me. And it turned to this hope chest that I would save things in. And I put that candle in the drawer and never burned it. And I was like, I'm going to burn this on the first Christmas we're married. You know, that like high school hope, right? That puppy love. Mm-hmm. And I did not burn that candle until the first Christmas we were married.
So you guys were high school sweethearts?
Yes. Yeah. We've been together for a long time.
How many years are you talking?
So this year in August, we will be married for 22 years.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
That's a big milestone.
It's huge. Together 27. So long time.
Yeah.
27, 28. Oh my gosh, I don't know.
I've
come to that. Like, yeah, I've come to that point.
We have to have a new anniversary. You're like, this is our dating anniversary. Here's our married anniversary.
So we started dating on August 23rd. And that year, 6 months prior to August 23rd, he told his dad, I guess, because he was, you know, planning to ask me to marry him. He said, if August 23rd is on a Saturday, and he's like literally flipping through the calendar, if August 23rd is on a Saturday, we're going to get married. I'm going to ask her now, and we're going to get married this year. Oh my gosh. So our wedding anniversary is on our dating anniversary. So it's super easy to remember, but until you get old, and now all these years like blend together. So.
Oh my gosh, how fun.
You know, it's so funny. I was actually going to ask you how your names, like your kids' names came about, because I feel like that's always like a fun journey.
Oh, yeah. I love that one.
Because, like, for Trip, I didn't have a choice because Rob passed his name down. So he was Robert Allen Lawser Jr. So we knew that Trip was going to be Robert Allen Lawser III. And I always told myself, like, all right, that's fine. For whatever reason, I was like, maybe because I didn't get a say in, like, the choice of the name. I never was, like, for passing it down. But it's been really cool now to be able to, like,
I just said, I just want a nickname, because there's so many. If we had Bob's and Bobby and Rob all in the
Right.
room, I was like, I want him to have his own name. So we ended up having, the nickname, and that's how Trip came about. And then for our second, which is funny, Josephina always was like a contender, even from like the get go. We just really liked that name. But then for the second, we were like kind of similar to your situation. We wanted a girl because we kind of thought that like 2 was going to be our number. And so I still really like Josephina. So I was like, okay, like Josephina is like a beautiful name. And then it just so happened like we had made the connection during that pregnancy that like my grandfather's name is Joseph, and then my grandmother's name is Marie. And so we gave her Josephina Marie, which is also my middle name.
Perfect.
So like that came too. But then I also in a way was okay with having another boy because my dad had passed around that time. And so I wanted to like honor him. And so we were going to throw a mix of my dad's name in. So there was like this weird part where I kind of was like, I kind of want another boy because I want to incorporate like that legacy to like follow through.
Yeah.
So it's funny how like sometimes people really want to incorporate family names, or it's like I want nothing to do with this name. I don't like this name.
Right.
So did each of your kids have a piece of family names?
Yes. So let me say, good on you for honoring the family name, because I think that's super important. And it's really cool that he still gets to carry on that history for him and for your husband, but also that nickname, like you saying it, like you can say, oh yeah, Rob and Robert and Bobby and all in the same room, but you wanting him to have his own identity, but still be connected to the history of the family is like super important.
Yeah.
So, good job.
Thank
Good
you.
job, Mom.
Thank you. And it's funny, in that moment, it was like a selfish act where I was
Right.
like, this is my say.
Yeah.
But then
Yeah.
stepping back and like hearing those things, it's neat to like hear those perspectives because
It's very remnant of you. You're very independent and very, I know this is going to work and this is not going to work. So it very much fits you.
Yeah, I can resonate with that.
Yeah, I think we were very. I think when you have your first one, you have everything in a box. You're like, this is the way it's going to be over here, and this is the way it's going to be over here, and this is the way it's going to be. Biblical name all the way. So we're always between 2 names, and we never really had a boy name, but it was always going to be Abigail or Hannah. I don't remember why, but I just always remember them being those 2 names, and then never a boy name. So when she was born, so we saw her face on the 3D ultrasound. It's probably 5D at this point. I don't know. I'm too old. I don't have babies.
I never
anymore.
did the 3D. Is it like pretty?
It was really cool, and you really could see her face, and she was so pudgy and chubby, and her cheeks were just so big. The picture, that's the best picture we've ever gotten of any of them, and we did 3D with all of them, but she had so much hair. Whoa. And it was just so cute. And I told my husband, I was like, she's Abigail. She doesn't look like a Hannah to me. And he agreed. So before she was even born, she was Abigail, which at the same time, I was like, no, we're not going to do that. We're going to see her before we name her. It was very apparent that she would just be Abigail. And then she was Marie, Abigail Marie. Marie is my mom's middle name and Aaron's mom's middle name. And that was perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect. First girl in the family on my side and on Aaron's side. So it was perfect tie for both families. Kerrigan is Lee. So she has the middle name of one of his twin sisters. He's not a twin. There are twins in the family. So,
okay.
So he's the oldest, and then the twins are the youngest, and they have 5 in their family. So one of the twins, she's the youngest, and I thought it would just be a really good pair, and it just sounded really good. So Kerrigan Lee.
Yeah, I like that.
And then she has my middle initial, or she has my initials. So Kerrigan Lee Dininny, and then Katie Louise Dininny. So she had my middle initials. So it wasn't like I was missing out on anything.
You were still connected.
I was still in there. The first one had my mom's middle name, so I was connected. And then Samara came along. Aaron was in seminary, so he was studying Hebrew and a lot of different things, but the Hebrew name for Samara is protected by God. Usually usually it was spelled with a double R, but we
Mhm.
decided to take the one R out. So it's just Samara,
Okay.
but Sammy for short. So Sammy Louise would be my middle name. So now I've got one.
Yeah. Yes.
Yes. And then Seneca Joyce, of course, after grandma. And that one was really special. And she'd be the last girl that we name, and we didn't know that, of course. Kenan was a kind of derived from Aaron's grandfather, who passed away before we were pregnant with Kenan. He was Kenneth. So we wanted to kind of push that on forward too, but all the boys' middle names in my husband's family are Owen.
Okay.
So Kenneth Owen was the grandfather, and then his dad was Larry Owen, and then there's another brother, Kevin Owen. Kevin has 2 boys. They are both Owen.
Owen. Through and through.
Mm-hmm. Then one of the cousins has a boy, Owen, and then we had a boy. So Owen.
It was only right.
It was only right. What's really cool about that is grandma, who previously mentioned, she would always write on the pictures that she would take of Aaron playing basketball or football, and she would write AOD, his initials. But they were far away pictures. Like if he was playing football, he's way out in the field. You can't really tell who he is if you can't see the number.
Mhm.
And so she would circle him on the picture. The pictures that we print out.
Yeah.
That people don't print out anymore.
I know.
And she would circle it and put AOD. But what was really cool was she would do that for all pictures, and KOD was in the ones for his grandfather. So Kenan is KOD. So
that's neat.
The initials kind of keep us going. And so we call him KO sometimes. And which is really funny because he loves boxing, and that's knockout.
Yeah.
So this is all just it's very funny. So he's doing boxing right now, and he's
the KO.
He is the KO. He's serious about it too.
Mm-hmm.
And he wants to practice, and so we had to buy another set of gloves so that we could practice with him. I was like, you can't be punching people if they don't have gloves on. Like, they're not ready.
Right. Like, you don't also want to get punched with someone who doesn't have gloves on.
Yes, it's not fun. And then you buy the ones, the flat ones that
so they can
punch at them.
Uh-huh.
Oh my goodness, I don't know this world. I know bows and pink things.
See, I'm the opposite. I'm like, we just did, I don't know, it was like this TikTok challenge or something, where you like drink water, and then both of you drink water and you have it in your mouth, and then you smack each other in the face with tortillas.
The tortilla challenge.
And you try not to like spit out your mouth. Well, I'm always the one coming up with these insane things. Like, I think I for sure was meant to be a boy mom. I grew up a tomboy. I have an older brother, a younger brother. So Rob comes home Cinco de Mayo. So I'm like, this feels appropriate. We had tacos, but we had the little street tacos. So it's like little
tortillas, like you're going to punch somebody.
And so I was like, you're always like, for me, spur of the moment, like you see Trip like going down. And I'm like, I have this great idea. Like, here, let's do something really fun. And I'm like, Daddy, Trip, get your little street tacos. Let's go outside. And they're like, what is going on? And I was like, we're going to do something real fun. So I was like, all right, fill your mouth. You fill your mouth and smack each other in the face with tortillas. And Trip was like, I get to smack Daddy in the face. And I was like, yeah. And I was like, but you can't spit your water out. Whoever spits your water out, you lose. So they're in the front just like smacking each other in the face with these little street tacos. And like at first it was just like an innocent, right? Oh yeah.
Okay.
Oh yeah. So we have this like little smack. And it was fine. And then all of a sudden, like, Trip got Rob pretty good. So he starts laughing, but then Trip spits the water out. And then Trip walks back, no water in his mouth, but Rob just like whacks him. And in the video, you hear like smack, like the contact was so good. Our neighbor walks out across the street, and Rob's like, howdy, neighbor.
Just over here whooping my kid with a tortilla. No problem. Nothing to see.
And I was like, this is all my idea. Like, I like introduced these like crazy ideas. So then the thought of having a girl, I was like, I can only do a single braid on the side. I can't even like fish braid from the top. And I was like, what do I do with a girl? Like, I have no idea. And so like she came out, and then like naturally you're just like, oh my God,
I can
like
do it.
Girl.
Yeah.
And so she's still so young that like Rob says that he's going to be a different person because he has a girl. And, because you're always kind of a little tougher on the guy. You're trying to raise a strong boy, and there's that, like, male to male testosterone and then female to female. Like, I feel like there's always like that head to head.
Yeah.
But your kids are old enough where you've kind of lived through some of that. Are there noticeable differences where you see like your husband raising the girls a little differently versus your son?
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. In fact, it's really funny because so with them being older and younger now at this point, when we went through the first phase of teenager, from moving from that like adolescent into those teenage years with my oldest, all of a sudden we just went head to head on everything. Like, she wouldn't listen to me. I was like, what am I doing? I was really good at this. I'm a good parent. I, I love my kids. I would do anything, I started to second guess everything that I'd done up to that point, because all of a sudden she's just like, it's like she's falling off. Like, what's going on? These are the stories you hear, right?
Yeah.
You're like, great. This is it. She's going to be defiant for the rest of her life. She's never going to hold down a job, like everything, like you downward spiral, because moms go to the worst case scenario.
Right.
When all in fact it was that she was just changing to the point where she needed her daddy to lead her. But that was hard for me. Like, it was hurtful, but hurtful, and like I was almost angry. And I said to my husband one day, I was like, that's it. I'm done. She's not listening to me. I can't do this anymore. You need to step in. Where we had not an understanding, but just I'd always raised little kids. We'd always raised little kids together, but I was really good at that little part.
Mm-hmm.
And he was like, okay, that sounds right. And it wasn't like he was hands off. It was just more I was hands on and he was there, always supporting, okay, daddy and I need to talk about that. We were always a unit, but it was just more like, okay, this is going to move through a transition phase. And I was not ready for that. Like, it hurt me for a while. And then they're only 14 months apart, the 16 and 17-year-old. So that transition happened again really quickly. And it happens faster as the kids see the example in the house. So it happened quicker. So now I've got two that, you feel like they hate you. And this one is more strong-willed. Like, baby number 2 is way more strong-willed than the first one. The first one's logical since the day she could talk. So things made sense. She made sense at 3. So we honored that. Now, it wasn't like she ruled the roost, but she was logical. So you want to allow that. She's allowed to be independent for that way. But the other one, totally not logical, but really strong-willed. And I'm like, when you hear those stories about the second one ain't with the crap, it's true. And anyone that has anyone that has that second one, right? And I was like, okay, I'm done. Number 2, on to you. I can't anymore.
So what were the things though that you felt like they were searching for, that they needed, or like could connect with him, that you were like, okay, that, like, I understand, or I'm okay to like let him take the lead on that?
Yeah. At first I couldn't pinpoint it. I would have to really think about it right now even. So they have some similarities in the things that they like. Abby, our oldest, she loves racing. I know nothing about that.
Like car racing?
Yes.
Okay. Like speedway?
Yes. Speedway, dirt track. Not so much motorcycles. She's not like a super risk taker. She's calculated, logical. Cars seem to be a better fit. She would get in one tomorrow, but she would never get on a dirt bike. So, but not that she wants to race, but all of a sudden, she's 14 and she's like, I want to manage a race team. Okay. That sounds exciting. She's very business minded. She loves small business, which is near and dear to my heart. So that, gushing.
Yeah.
I could say all day long, but, it was those things, the little intricacies. Now the mom things, they still got to ask the questions or whatever, but it was just like the hormones. My gosh, like, but you have them too. So this ball of hormones that they don't know how to figure out is coming at you. And I'm like, I feel unloved, disrespected, and disregarded. Nobody wants to feel that way, especially from their kids. So it had to be, we had to sit down a few times and say, it's okay to have these hormones and this frustration about you. You're growing, your body's trying to figure things out, your brain can't map that, like, but you are not allowed to be disrespectful. So I could say those things, but they wouldn't be received. But when daddy speaks up, those things are received. So it's just different when you've always put daddy as the leader of the family, and not the end all be all or the iron fist or anything like that. And we've worked as a unit, but when daddy says something that is happening that's not right and it needs fixed, our kids have always been very quick to listen. So that was really huge part for me feeling cared for by my husband, but then also being seen by my children.
Yeah.
And him helping that.
Yeah.
I could say all those things, but it didn't fall the way daddy said it. So,
Well, and then you had gone so many years where what mommy said was
Yeah.
received
and fine.
and fine.
Yep.
And then you have this
Yeah.
teeny, I mean, are we talking like 11, 12?
Yeah, probably like that 12-year time frame. Then she would be 13, and then the next one would be 12. And I'm like, I'm drowning. And this is happening to me again.
And then did you see it again
Yes,
with the
it was-
third?
So now the third's 12. So it's kind of, she's a
Coming.
little bit more loving. So she's all, you know how the hormones start to happen, and you see that. I mean, you will see that when the hormones
I
start
think
to
I
happen.
remember, you know.
Yeah, and I was so frustrated when that first pass came, but this kid is different. Like, she's a lover. Like, when the hormones hit, she's like, "Can we snuggle?" Oh, yeah, we can totally snuggle.
Come here.
And it always happens at night, like when you're settling down, and she's like, "I just want you to hold me." Okay, I can. And I'm not super, super loving, but like, I need to feel affection from my kids. I love that. I say I love you all the time. If you don't say it enough, like, I didn't hear that as a kid. Like, I wasn't, I didn't grow up sad or like unloved. I was loved, but I say it an obnoxious amount of times on a daily basis.
I feel like I do too.
But there's 5 of them though. Like, what if I didn't say it to you? What if I thought I said it to you, but I didn't? So I just say it again.
I said it to the other kid 3 times. I need to say it to you.
Yeah. So she's been that ball of emotions, but she's also very, very matter of fact. Like, we have this book, get into the girl thing. We have this book, and it's called The Care and Keeping of You. And there are stages. So it talks about like personal hygiene, and then it moves on to things like hair growth and puberty. And then it moves on to things like further into puberty and the care of those things and how you just mind your body, basically. And so all of them have read the books. It's a very good process that we implement. You always slide it under the mattress to hide it from the other sisters, because that's personal, and nobody needs to know that you're going through that if you don't want them to know you're going through that. But mommy can know. So I read every book, every page, and then every kid I repeated it to, I read it again.
So you can repeat this.
I need to
hide it.
Yeah. I need to have the answers in front of me. And it really helps a mom too to go through that and say, do it from not so much like a clinical perspective. Some people are very much that clinical, use the proper terms. That's not where we land, but whatever they want to say or have, I follow their lead because it's their body. And I'm not so much on that side of things, but like, you need to understand this so that you can express it in a healthy manner.
Yeah.
Whether it's to me or to someone else because you're having a problem, or a doctor or something.
Were there examples where like was it that they weren't comfortable using the clinical terms, or it felt too raw?
Yeah, I think I don't think baby number 1 would never say the clinical terms, never. Like, she's just like, down there. Yeah, got it. or oh gosh, this was the worst. And it was the worst for her because I don't think I was ready, but we went on vacation, and she the first one, she passed out in the the breakfast line one morning, and we were on vacation, so we're going through the line to get food to take up to the room, right? For continental breakfast. It was not continental breakfast, it was a huge breakfast. So we have 2 trays, and she's talking to me, and all of a sudden she stops talking to me. And her eyes just kind of glaze over, and she walks away from me while I'm talking. I'm like, that's strange. Why is she doing that? She knew something was wrong, and she's trying to set the tray down. And because she didn't want to spill the food that was on there, and she just fell over, and I'm watching her fall, and she's close enough to me. I'm like, tray in this hand, catching a kid in this hand, and she just passes right out. And we were out west, so I thought she had elevation sickness, but it was also during COVID. So I was like, is she sick? Oh my goodness, someone's going to think she's sick, and then they're going to send us to the hospital. And then we're going to be quarantined, and we're on vacation.
Oh, God.
And I'm like calling my husband. I'm like, get down here right now. She passed out. I don't know what's wrong. One day later, she got her very first period.
Oh.
So like the whole thing was just, I was like, oh, full circle. Now we're at a water park. I mean, just on top of.
No.
I'm on the other side of this stall door explaining how to use a tampon. And
just push it in.
yeah. And she was like, I don't want to do this. And I was like, okay, that's fine if you don't want to. Like, and so we had to go through this whole thing in a very public space for the very first time. But while she's logical, I think that probably helped her. But yeah, she would never use the clinical terms. Number 2, I don't know. She doesn't talk about that. Like, okay. I think she had her sister talk her through some of those things. I talked her through all the things.
Yeah.
But then I never had to ask any more questions. It was just like she knew.
She has her secret sister.
She has her secret sister and tells her the things, and then yeah.
So that's tough though. Like
multiple girls in a row is a blessing.
Yeah. So they can all just kind of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The 12-year-old, we're just still in the snuggle phase. And like, I was a little late bloomer in life. So I'm thankful for that they may have gotten those things from me. So we were at like the 13 years old, almost 14 years old for the second one, and still not yet at 12, which is I read is not likely because you've got all those hormones in the house that it prompts a quicker flow of hormones. I don't see that happening now, which I'm thankful for, because it's once it starts,
it never
stops
until you get pregnant. And then you're like, whoa,
yeah,
God.
Yes! No period, 9 months.
And I was like,
10,
yeah, and then,
really?
Yeah, no breastfeed. And then I was like, breastfeeding. So I was like, oh, that's the trick, right? As long as you're breastfeeding, it's not supposed to come back. Lies. 6 months after, I was like, okay, I've gone a little over a year. But that phase of like, you know, like your period and all of that. I mean, I remember I was with my grandparents when I started my period.
Oh my gosh.
And I had to like ask for supplies from like my grandparents. And I think I like called my mom being like, oh, this happened. And she had to like call her dad to be like, Dad, can you please get these things for her? And then I wasn't comfortable, obviously. Like my family didn't really openly talk about that kind of stuff. Which maybe is why I'm like the total opposite now. Like I do use the clinical terms with Trip, and I think it's because we live in such a scary world too, where, you know, I think for us growing up, it was like, it's okay to call it your cookie, or it's okay to, you know, like nickname the things. And those pieces scare me because of, you know, being so young. And if you did do a sleepover, even like a family friend or a family member, you know, I was always like so scared that something was going to happen. And then if he couldn't say, you know, that he touched my penis or he did this, you know, but he's at an age now though, where it's like penis this, penis that. Look at my penis in the tub, Mom. It's floating. Can you see it go up and down? I'm like, we really don't have to talk about this right now. Like
you're like, why did I teach you this term?
And I'm like, oh,
but it could be any term.
It
could be any term, because anything could be floating in the tub.
And I'm like, this is my life. I'll text my girlfriends, like, we're just talking about floating penises, and I try to ignore it. And he's like, Mommy, did you hear me?
This is important news, Mommy.
I'm like, I did hear that. But similar to your daughter, like I remember being in the middle school bathroom stall, and I don't know how many tampons got thrown to me, and it was like, try it. And I was like, Oh, it doesn't work. I need another one. Oh, I can't. Like, they're like, just stick it in. I'm like, I'm trying. Like, even one girlfriend's like, do I need to come in and help you? I'm like, I don't know, maybe. Like,
I don't know.
I'm like,
Yes,
appreciate the village. And then like bell rings and I'm like, shit, don't have it yet.
Yeah.
Gotta go to class. I guess I'll put a pad in for now.
Yeah.
But like, those are the things that.
Gosh, you can remember that? I can't even remember.
I think probably because it's so traumatic.
I played sports, so I know I just moved to that quickly, but I don't know how.
It was 7th or 8th grade. It was 7th or 8th grade that I had it. And yeah, vividly, because for the longest time I could not put a tampon in. It's like, I guess I'm just wearing, but then like, I don't know, your friends are like, ew, you're wearing pads? And I was like, oh, like, I can't put a tampon in. They're like, we're gonna have to work on this. Like, okay. I had
the first time was so dramatic. No.
Yeah, I feel like because I had such like an open group of friends that like it was just like normalized. And so, which was cool because again, like my family wasn't as open with those conversations. Like they didn't like forthright come and say like, hey, let's talk about those things. Whereas I think I'm such an open book that like I had my period and Tripp's like, oh mom, are you okay? And I'm like, yeah, I'm just bleeding. And he's like, okay. And he's like, can I help? And I'm like, no, you don't help me do anything here. And I said, but maybe when, you know, you're with a girl and she needs tampons, like once a month this happens and I'm fine. And I keep on going. So it's like, I am maybe like a little open with that, but I'm like, you know what? It's not going to hurt him. He'll at least hear these things. And then he can, you know, choose because it was always such like a, ew, I don't want to buy a girl tampon. This is so embarrassing. And I'm like, no, I want my son to grow up to be like,
compassionate.
He needs these things. This is, you know, this is normal. These things are normal things that happen to people.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's just, but right now in the age of 4,
nothing is private. So he just talks about everything.
Everything.
Yeah. I think we shifted from that too. Like that whole privacy thing. Like they, at some point, I remember one of them, just the innocence at some point, it goes away and they don't want to be naked in front of anyone, right?
Mm-hmm.
My son was very quickly moved to that. So he must be more like his daddy or something. I don't know what it is with the boy. He's 7 now. But I remember one of them kind of standing up at the top of the stairs and yelling down something, and I couldn't make it out. So I go around the corner and I look up, and there's my daughter standing there naked. And I'm like, no one can see her, but she's getting in the bath. So it's not a big deal, but it is a big deal because I'm like, she's 7. Where's your towel? But at which point I'm like, I do that. So maybe I need to get a towel or whatever, you know, like I will have any conversation, but it was just funny to see. And then very quickly after, then it was more like, okay, I'm going in the bathroom and I'm going to shut the door. I'm not going to like strip naked in front of my hamper in my room and then walk to the bathroom, which was the process previously. So then the hamper moved to the bathroom. That was all my logical first child's doing.
Mm-hmm. For you or for her?
For her.
Okay.
Like it was their bathroom. Yeah. Now our hamper was in our bathroom, so that made sense. But it didn't, you don't process those things when it's your kid's room and that's your kid's things stay in their room.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
So you're seeing them create that privacy.
Yeah. For themselves. So I think it was organic for them. I don't want to say like I don't remember it, but as you add kids, you're focused on different things. But because we had so many children and the kids were so young, Abby was 10 when Kenan was born. Is that right? 9. Something like that. I can't math right now. And
mom math.
Right. And 9 or 10 or something. Mm-hmm. But she was so helpful that she grew up really quickly. But she was always going to be independent and very logical. So that was normal for her. And they were really good on both ends. Abby was very structured with the baby. Like she could change his diaper and do all the things that he needed. And Kerrigan could keep him occupied and play on the floor. And so they had this dynamic that was just amazing for a mom of 5 now to incorporate the help that they could do. Kenan was born in January, so I had a rough recovery for a few months, and then the kids were home for the summer. So now he's, 4 months, 5 months, 6 months while they're home for the summer. And it was really fun to see all the ages play together. You're in the backyard and you can have like a mini pool, but then you can have a bigger pool, but the other kids can't get in that one because it's too deep and they might slip under. And then Kennan's over here in like his bouncy seat and they're just like spraying him with water because he can't sit up yet. So
he's like just a little bobblehead
Yeah.
still.
Yeah. But I think that busyness led to this space where I didn't miss the things, but they drown in. And every once in a while they'll say something and I'm like, oh yeah. So it's not gone.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't feel like I missed anything, but explaining to them to work like a team has been something. When we implemented 3, like you're moving to zone defense. Like It's not man to man anymore. Like we've got 3, we've got to be like, what's next? What's going to happen next? And then you move to 4 and 5. You have to work like a team. And I've said always, like, we are a team. And if you're going to make a bad decision, everyone's going to pay for it. And we just can't operate like that. Now, that might seem like a lot of pressure for a kid, but in our house, we're raising leaders. Like, they're going to be leaders. They're going to lead a business. They're going to lead a team. They're going to lead I have high hopes for them.
Yeah.
If that's not something they want, that's totally fine too. If they don't want to be number one, they don't want to own the business, or they don't want to manage the business, or whatever that is. Never really like to manage things. I like to be a number 2 because I like to be the pusher.
Mm-hmm.
Here you go. These are all the great ideas. Now go do them. You're the point person. I've been in leadership positions where I've felt like it's very draining. So when they find what they want, but for right now, while we're raising them to be the best they can be.
Mm-hmm.
The best they can be is going to be what they decide
right
at some point. But the best they can be is what we decide right now.
Right. And I think for leadership, those skills can be used simultaneously into different areas in your life. I don't always identify it as like, right, just that management role, or you have to be that supervisor. It's like, to be a leader, you start doing that in school. You start helping out with the school project. You're the one that tutoring, is bringing the leads in there. It's like you naturally are doing those things. It's like you always hear about the one kid who like, oh, we got an A on the assignment, but Jimmy didn't do shit. You're like, okay. But then your kid is the one that's bringing it over the finish line. And although it's a frustrating situation, fast forward 20 years later, you're in a job, you're still going to have that Jimmy, but you're going to be the one that is going to be that good employee. You're going to be, so it's like whether you're leading in that team dynamic or you're actually leading a business, I think those are really important things to teach your kids and to be able to push them and challenge them in those different ways. And then what they do with it, I've been told, is up to them.
Yes.
And I feel like because there was never anything, again, in my life that was like, you need to do this or you need to do that. Like I was the first to graduate from college in my family, and, there was just different routes. So like I felt like I was creating my own standard in like what to expect for my own life. But to think that if those things were, instilled or like helped, I guess, along the way at a younger age, like I don't know how life would have turned out. I mean, you always reflect back, and I'm always grateful for like the trials and tributes that like you kind of have to go through, but it does make me look through at a different lens when we're looking at our kids, because again, we're not promised tomorrow. I hope that when I leave that they have the tools and the things that they need to get to that next thing.
Yes.
Because I mean, you're in a stage where they're going to start going to college,
She's going to JMU in the fall.
Oh,
yeah.
That's a beautiful campus.
It's beautiful. We are super proud. I think it was not her first choice.
Okay.
But she was, she has always excelled in everything she does. And
Mm-hmm.
because she's on that team with that Jimmy who doesn't do the work, right? That team's not going to suffer because that's just not who she is. That's just not where she wants to be in life. And she has always excelled. I just left a school event to come here, and it was a leadership class that they're doing for a senior project. And they had to lead Entrepreneur Day, where they had to interview kids. The kids set up booths and they sell their wares, right? It was a phenomenal success. Like, I had to go in the hall and cry. I was so excited. I was so proud of these 5 seniors that are doing this, that I was just, I was blown away. And the
Mm-hmm.
kids were happy. And I walked in, and my daughter is just beaming in the middle of all of it. And like I said, it worked. And she was like, it did. I didn't even know it was going to be this great. And now I'm like, she can do it.
Yeah. So what did you see like at the event?
So the process to it was the process. I'm the process person. So I have a lot of whys, like, or hows before the thing goes off. So in the beginning, they come up with this concept, and I'm like, okay, I have questions. How are you going to do this? Where are you going to do this? What are the logistics? Who's going to handle this? Who's going to invite people? All the things.
Sound like my brain.
Oh my gosh. And I just felt like a hamster on a wheel that like wouldn't stop. And she, they got it together over the course of about a month. They put this big thing together in a month. There's like 27 kid vendors in this space at school today. And she said, we did it. And I was like, yeah, of course. Like, I had no doubt it was going to go happen, but she had doubts.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, so what's gone wrong today? And she was like, well, I was ready for this, but I knew this was going to happen. And I was like, why did you know? And she said, because this one particular person wasn't prepared. Okay, but why did you know that? I don't know. I could see it. Those are the things you can't explain as that leader.
Yeah.
You just knew. And this is an event, but I said, this is huge in the lives of these children. They're going to remember this. They might not remember 4th grade at all, but they will remember that one time that I sold this t-shirt and then I saw kids wearing it at school. Like,
yeah.
that's huge.
So your daughter was helping the kids sell stuff?
Yes. So
Okay.
5 seniors set up this whole day and they interviewed kids. They said, oh, okay, what do you want to sell? And they sit down and interview the kid, ask the questions. What's your price point? How did you come up with this concept? Why does it matter to you? All these things. And they just did this whole process. So that kids had to interview too. So you had like a little 1st grader in there talking about what she's going to bake and how much she's going to sell it for.
Wow.
And
then the seniors help them get it across the finish line and say like, okay, like this is probably your price point. This is how we're going to sell it.
Yep.
And then these kids are now selling these things.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. Cool.
It's the coolest thing. I'm just so proud. In fact, I'm going to go back later and buy some more.
Yeah.
I need to go to the ATM.
I have now been drained of my money.
Yeah. And cash, like you never have cash. I was like, I have $10 on me. This is not enough. I have a bracelet on right now.
Is that one that they made?
Yeah.
Oh, so cute.
Isn't it cute?
With a little shell.
Yeah.
And very beachy.
Very beachy. But I mean, bracelets and cupcakes and food and breakfast sandwiches and prepackaged or like baked, and then they package them separately, baked snacks. And I mean, online payments.
Online payments?
Digital receipts. I was like, okay, now she was in 8th grade. So, but still.
That's impressive.
Yeah, it's impressive.
But it's those skills.
Yeah.
That, again, you look back and, there's probably whatever percent on how the family raised them and the environment.
Yeah.
And then the other percent is like their personality and how like they can see those things through. So to now, hopefully that gave you this like, she's going to be okay.
Yeah.
She's going to be able to get out there, go to college and set an example for.
And she took her sister with her this morning. Well, so she said, hey, I want to come with you and help. Can I help you? So that discipleship is right there too. Like she wants to help her because she wants to help her sister and she loves her, the younger one. And so now she's seeing this from this. Abby led this. Kerrigan gets to experience it, and Kerrigan's going to have to do it next year probably, or the year after that.
Mm-hmm.
And so she's going to have experience there. So it's just going to get even better because of that discipleship pathway that you've
Mm-hmm.
is just organic in our house. Again, that's just how we do things.
Yeah.
We're
Your morals, values
Yeah.
that you guys kind of hold.
we're going to be better together if we're all strong and on the same page. And our values, they're going to differ at some point. We're going to have good conversations about hard things, but like we're getting ready to send her off to college, and we're talking about how much money a year it's going to be with after scholarships and all these things. And my husband says we're going to have to probably do a loan, like a Parent Plus loan or something
Mhm.
like that, whatever the college loans are called now. It was Parent Plus.
I think it's,
whatever.
yeah.
Okay, same.
Mm-hmm.
And so I said, okay, I'm going to call financial aid and just ask some questions. We've never been through this before. I want to know all the things. And so I haven't done that yet, but I am.
It's on the to-do list.
We have a goal by Tuesday that this is going to get done.
Plenty of time.
Yeah. And I was thinking through it, just driving one day, and I was like, I don't want her debt. This is her debt. And I want to help her, but I don't think that's financially, because I think that starts now. But we're at this crossroad. So Aaron and I have got to sit down and figure out what that looks like. Now, if this is the difference between her going to college and not going to college, we're doing it.
Mm-hmm.
But I want her to feel the pressure of, these are my hours. These are my credits. This is my debt. This is what I'm getting. I'm getting education in return for this. So
Right. Well, and then figuring out, is it sustainable for then 4 other kids?
Right.
If that's the path
Right.
that they choose to go.
True.
But it's like, what, you do it for the first kid, and then you're like, wait, actually, we can't do this for the rest.
Right. Right. And I don't want it to be like that for them. So we're trying to weigh out all the things, and not that fair is a huge word in our house. It's not like
Mm-hmm.
life is not fair, all the blah, blah, blah. Right. But it's going to be situational for every kid, I think.
Yeah.
I don't think she needs this
Mm-hmm.
support from us.
And maybe she doesn't want, like,
And maybe she doesn't want it.
If she knew the resources.
Maybe we should ask.
Yeah, I mean, because you're in that situation with the Parent Plus loan, you're not paying for it.
Right.
She still ultimately would pay. It just would default to you all if she didn't
Right.
make her payment.
Right.
So, I mean,
Right.
if she could get a loan, or if she got enough financial aid and then needed to take out a loan, like I ended up taking out a loan myself, and I could do that. And
Right.
I mean, the pressure was on, where I
Mhm.
was like, I can't screw up but so much, because then I'm paying back something that, like,
I didn't even get any value out of.
yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think there's value
Yeah.
in both of those situations.
Yeah.
But again, you're taking your daughter's, like, maturity into place where, like, maybe she is a part of that conversation.
I'm thinking now, like, as I say it out loud, I'm like, her brain is not ready for that. She's 17. And then I'm like, well, maybe she is ready for that. She has a car. Her sister does not have a car, but her sister's going to drive soon. So they've come up with this financially beneficial agreement for both of them. She can't have a car while she's a freshman, but the other one's going to need a car to be here.
Mm-hmm.
So they're going to split the cost of insurance while the younger one gets to drive it and the older one goes to college and doesn't need it, but she can still use it when she comes home on breaks or whatever. And so the financial benefit is still there. And then the baby number 2 doesn't have to buy a car.
Yeah.
Which Abby bought the car, paid for, works at a small business, has for 2 years, and has bought her car, paid half down, and paid it off in less than 6 months.
Yeah. I think
sometimes I go, I wonder if she's mine.
Yeah.
Which I know she is, but like, I was not that responsible.
I
was paid off at 16.
I did. I was not in that level. I like got a busted car for my brother. But I think sometimes we hold our kids, it's weird. We hold them to this, like, high standard, but then we also look at them like they're still babies sometimes, because they are babies. And then all of a sudden I'm like, I have a 4-year-old. Like, I just want to, like, hug you and snug you. And then the next thing you know, you're sending them off to college. So you're like, there's no way that they can
make this decision. But I wonder if you say, hey, this is the situation. Can you come to me with some ideas?
Yeah.
Like maybe she'll answer the question for you and your husband. You don't even have to.
Yeah. The conversations that the four of us can have, the 16 and 17-year-old and my husband and myself, I'm like, who are these adult people?
Uh-huh.
I'm impressed, and I know that I helped that along the way, but
Yeah, for sure.
I revert back to who I was at that age, and I'm like, there's no way I was capable of this, but there you are, and it's exciting, and it's been well led and much bathed in prayer, and
Well, you have to pat yourself on the back, and I mean, you have 5 beautiful
yeah,
kids, and they're thriving, and they're going to do wonderful things, and
yeah,
that's a product of, what you guys have put into it. And I always say, like, my thought now leaving is like when we leave the nest, like, then the rest is choices that we make as young adults. But like, you got them to that point,
yeah,
and then it's up to them to make their choices.
yeah. Oh, I'm excited to see what she's gonna do. I'm excited for college. I tried college. It didn't go well for me. I just was not a very good student, and I think I tried harder in college than I did in high school. But I think these kids are going to be they want education. Abby wants to be educated. She wants to have those tools under her belt so that when she does go on to the next thing that she knows she's prepared.
Yeah.
That logic in her is very like, I can do this because I'm prepared for this.
Right. Well, as we kind of wrap up, is there something that you, like a mantra that you have for your family, or like a saying that you guys, that you kind of like leave your family with?
Yeah. Oh gosh, we say so many little things that like um I think we always make sure that we know that we love them first and foremost, and we love people well, and it doesn't stop outside the house. So we're going to love you well, but we're also going to love people outside of our house well, even when it seems like an undeserving situation. We've been, and I just said this in the last few days, we've been called to a higher standard, that we are, that we love God and we love people, and that's our calling. So nothing else matters after that. Just love God, listen to what He has for your life, and love people well. And it's not always going to be easy because people suck sometimes, and you just have to go back to loving God so that He can tell you how to love people well again, even when they suck, and just do it again. So I think loving others well is just one thing that has always been consistent. We wrote some family values on the wall. This did not backfire on us, although I've heard this backfire. We wrote family values on the wall in like paint marker, like when the first two were little, and we would always say them. We would always read them to them. Now they didn't color on the walls or anything. We colored on paper, except when Daddy wrote on the wall one time. But it was kind of like those things that and it was very early on, so it was easy for them to understand, but love was always the first one.
Yeah.
Just loving people well.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
I love that. So, well, Katie, yeah. I am so happy that you came and talked with us and shared your story. For everyone, keep hustling, keep healing. We know that you are always hustling, always on the run. But thank you for joining us. So cheers.
Cheers. This is great. Thank you for having me.
Come hang out with me on Instagram at Hustle and Healing Podcast for more real talk, laughs, and support. You can also catch the podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube. So be sure to subscribe, follow, and leave a review if you're loving what you hear. And do me a favor, share this episode with a fellow mom who needs to hear it. Keep hustling, keep healing, and don't forget to reheat that coffee. Again, see you next time.